Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and quick disclaimer for this video, these are hopefully the worst decks I've made for the GDO meta of the Gundam card game. We just got the full set release for not only this, but also Star Deck 6. I haven't been able to do really a lot of testing, I've just been doing a lot of theory crafting, and I'm also just going to get on a plane pretty soon to go to Canada for the Ottawa Regionals that's happening this upcoming weekend too. So honestly, I haven't had the time for some strict testing with that. We will be doing that next week after I get back from Ottawa and stuff, but I wanted to kind of just go over some decks I've been kind of thinking about and working on. These are no way perfect in any way, and I don't want you guys to think that these are the 50 for 50 that you guys should be building anytime soon, but I just want to go over my thoughts on a couple builds I've been kind of thinking about, especially since it dropped a couple days ago, and I've been really just kind of doing some building here and there for kind of some interesting archetypes and stuff. So if you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe. We make a lot of content for the Gundam card game. I don't want you guys to miss it. Also, if you guys want any of the deck lists we're going over today, there are on my website, Eggman Events, which is linked in the description. They are on the GD02 section, which is honestly quite bare right now, but again, this is the barest it's going to be. We're going to be adding deck lists, we're going to add tournament results and everything else as the set releases and everything else, so there will be more resources for this, and we'll continue to keep this up to date as the format evolves as well. So, but I did want to go over, again, it's a short list of 13 different decks I've been kind of working on, but honestly, that's my favorite thing about this Gundam card game, right? The fact that deck building is so open, there's so many different things you can do, and there's so many like cute little combos you get to do with pilots and links, and especially ones that are more generic, that I'm really excited to just kind of go over some of my ideas as well. So last disclaimer, these are not perfect deck lists. Most of these decks are kind of built on one or two little interactions that I'll kind of go over, and then the idea is that these can maybe be fleshed out more when we know what the meta looks like and kind of everything else. So anyways, let's just jump on into it with the first kind of easy ones to upgrade. They are the Star Deck 5 and Star Deck 6. So we've got a blue and purple deck for Star Deck 5, which we've kind of already seen in the end of the GDO1 meta that we've had already, and then we also have the Star Deck 6, which is more linear for the deck building for this one too. You kind of have to choose green and red just by how the clan cards work and kind of the interactions for it, and I think that's fine. I think this is kind of like introducing this new kind of double combination deck with the clan archetype. And then for this one, it was really just like a purple deck that had a couple of white cards that I don't think the Galahorn stuff has been really good based off the stuff that we got from GD02 either. So it's really kind of open-ended with how the Tekkaden stuff works. And I've been really happy with this build too. Again, this is more like an evolution of the new cards that we got it from GD02. So the big new two ones are the Gundam Barbatos first form here. This card just generically lets you get some random card draw, which is really nice, especially if you link it with like the Mikazuki. You get to go as a 5 AP, you get to draw a card on attack since you usually damage yourself, and that ends up being really, really nice. We also do have the Gundam Gujian Rebake. I think it's Rebake. People tell me Rebake. If it's not, let me know. But this is a weirdly statted and weirdly good card too. So level 5, cost of 4. It does have blocker, which is off color for purple, but we're not going to be upset about it. And then deploy, choose one of your units and one enemy unit. You get to deal 1 damage to them. So obviously this is really good if we're getting, again, that additional ping damage if you need it. They also can use it to activate your Gundam Barbatos first form, your second form, or even your fourth form there, which is really nice. So being able to have like an additional card to help you get in those situations is good. The link for it is the Akihiro, which we don't have in this deck. I don't feel like there's enough of like the level 2s or lowers for that card to work out right now, so we're not having it. If you guys want to use that, you can. I just haven't found success, and honestly, it's a lot to not play Amuro. Amuro is such a good pilot, right? Amuro Gundam is fantastic. It's good in a lot of situations, and I don't think there's anything that will prevent me from saying it's not the worst card for you to add to the deck too. So to help it round it out, we do have a couple copies of Gun Cannon, since this does link with Amuro, and I like the way that it interacts with Mikazuki, right? Being able to ping something and then rest it if it now afterwards has 2 or less HP, which is really nice. We do have a new base here with the Alexandria. On the deploy, add 1 shield to your hand, then choose 1 rested enemy unit that's level 4 lower. You get to deal 1 damage to it. So pretty nice just being able to get that 1 ping damage, and even can be activated on your opponent's turn, so getting that extra damage when they're not expecting it. Obviously, if something's rested, it's usually already attacked, so that means that you don't get to prevent a damage that would have come out. You know what I mean? But it is still something good and can be used on your turn too. And then I still am a big fan of Neogarma with this deck, being able to get that resting. And again, it's really easy for them to be at less than 3 HP, so that's a really good add for the deck too. So other than that, I think the only additional adds to Showa resolves. We also have the momentary respite here, so a respite here. So I think like this is like a weird card for the deck. I think like generically Showa resolve is better for us, but every once in a a while, like the bursters draw one, or also like sometimes you do need to find another copy of your Mikazuki so it can, outwardly find that by using the effect. So I think that's fine, but again, it can be kind of bricky in hand. So lastly, we're also playing one copy of Laughter Franklin here. So being able to use this to just give high maneuver is just good enough. Like that's all we need to know. Just being able to get that burst, not burst, but to get the high maneuver off of having a level 5 or lower damage unit. It's very easy to do in this deck, and kind of just a 5th copy of your Amuro to try to go for game. So I think it's worth like the 1 tech add, and there's the build there. So now for Star Deck 6, I have one big gripe with this deck, and my only gripe with this deck is that they didn't make a 2-1 clan unit for this deck. I think the deck would be insanely good with it. I think it'd be very helpful for making sure you had enough clan cards out, and it's really like upsetting that we didn't get one, right? And there's no clan card that cost 1 to play. Any of them are 2 costs, so the cheapest one are the Galgoog or the Red Gundam, right? Those are the 2 of the cheaper ones for the deck right now. And other than that, like we kind of have to like run these non-clan cards, right? Like it's kind of like telling us like you have to play the non-clan cards because there's nothing really low level that's really worth being played in the deck outright. So we're just playing out the Zaku 2 and the Galgoog. You can play whatever 2-1 you want. If you're a Zaku Mariner, if you want to play Jin, whatever you want, it doesn't really matter. But it just means that we're kind of having to we can't run a 50 clan card in this deck right now, which is kind of, you can, but it's not going to be worth it in those regards. So other than that, I'm trying to find out the best situation for each of these 4 drops. I think like this one probably has to bounce around 3 or 4. Again, the fact that it is like a cost 2 is very, very important to be able to get your abilities off as well. Red Gundam is actually really good as an LR. The fact that the auto choose 1 to 2 friendly clan units to get the +2 AP, it can just include itself for no additional cost. So this is attacking for 6 for pretty much free, right? Which is fantastic for something that's also a breach 1. You can also use it with the Shuji, right, to be able to get that additional like cycle or like potential cycle, right, to see what the top card of your deck. We also have the Machu. So obviously the idea is that like Shuji, you look at the top card of your deck, you see if it's a clan card that Machu can use, and then you link your Machu, and then you're able to get that additional effect. So I think that's like kind of fine for the deck too, but it is a little bit expensive to be able to do both of them in the same turn. And then we do have we have a good amount of level 4s. I don't know how I feel about this level 5. There's a reason we're talking about level 4s. We do have our G-Quax Omega Saikamu here, which is the LR from the set. Being able to look at top 3 on deploy to deploy 1 clan unit that's level 4 or lower from the top of our deck is really, really great, especially without any like additional pilots to have to pair with it. Top 3 is actually not that you can miss with this effect quite a bit, and with that you're like, man, why am I playing this level 5 that doesn't, you can't play off the top of your deck, right? The first strike from this card is strong. I do think that it can be good in those situations, but I also think there's a lot of situations where this card just like you don't find the sequencing for it. If you don't have the pilot, the card feels really dead, and I don't really know if it's worth it in these points where I'd rather just like make sure that I can hit this card a little bit more consistently with it. So we'll see if that's kind of the case, but I think it's fine. We also have the Shugai's Galgoog, which this card I think you have to play it like 2 copies, even though like it's a cost 4. If you play it on curve, you're not really doing anything with it, and it's kind of low statted. Sometimes like getting that extra 2 damage on anything that like late game can help you just win the game randomly. Because of that extra removal power that you have with it. So you can also play it off your G-Quax here, so it's probably fine. And I think like one of my favorite things with this deck is that you can play this card, and then you can like have each one of these pilots, and chances are that you're going to hit something, and then whatever you hit, you can also link with it right afterwards, which is really good. So other than that, we've got a really good searcher with the Skullgirl and Smuggler. We do have the Shuji's Hideout, which this is quickly becoming one of my favorite bases in the game. The fact that it is a 1 cost base that also eventually does damage is good. The delayed damage your opponent can kind of play around sometimes, but sometimes they can't, and it's just really good for a lot of those situations, right? You're almost guaranteed to get some kind of value from this card, because if they get rid of this base, they're usually attacking with something, and at least you can ping that 1 damage if you need to. So I think that's strong. I am also playing St. Gabriel Institute just because this is a way to look at the top card of our deck and know what it is. It's probably a little bit slow, but sometimes we need that extra consistency, and I haven't like been upset about the card, especially since we don't really have have that many like early game plays outside of it, so it's fine. So this deck's really cool. Sometimes you're going to be able to get like your clans like archetypes working together, and it feels really great. Last card I didn't really mention was the Red Gundam, the rare from the set, the level 5. This does just get a high maneuver on link, and it links with any one of our pilots because it just links with the clan trait, so that can be good enough to go for game. It's level 5, so you can't play it off your G-Quux, but I think it's good enough you play 2 copies, especially since it does again link with everything, and the fact that all of our good pilots are the Machu as well as the Shuji. You have to have a link for their effects, not just pairs. So just even getting this effect to get the link effect for maybe getting another card draw with Machu is kind of worth it sometimes as well. So I don't have much more to say about this deck. I think a lot of people are going to be playing it, and I don't think it's bad, but it's still kind of clunky, and if there's a lot of like removal that exists in this current meta, it's going to be really tricky to get some of our more complicated effects off as well. So not much more to say here, but here is the build for Star Deck 6. So moving on along to GD02 stuff, and this is kind of like uncharted territory for the rest of this video. A lot of this is just a lot of theory crafting, just kind of some combinations that have kind of worked in my head, but I know a lot of people want to test out the Ayug stuff with kind of the new pilots that we got for it as well. So generally speaking, this is a deck that really revolves around its bases, and I'm playing 6 bases with 3 of the Yorogama and 3 copies of Archangel. I don't really know what the best ratio is going to be, but you kind of have to see a base in your deck because it is so important for your effects to have a white base out. So the kind of relevant examples include the Gundam Mark II, being able to use this deploy. If a friendly white base is in play, you can pair an Ayug pilot from your hand with this card, which means that you can either get a Quattro or you can get a Camille here. So either one of those get their abilities. Being able to also get like a draw 1 discard off, just linking with this card is good. Also, this is named Char as well, so which we're going to look at an entirely different deck. I know you guys are talking about like a green-white Zeon deck. That's coming. It's later in the video. You guys will be rewarded for your patience, but I still think, like, unironically, like, play Char Zaku too. Like, you get to link with it. If you put a pilot underneath it, you get another token out of it. It's a decently okay unit in a deck that doesn't really have that many early game plays otherwise, right? I know that there are some chances to play Zawart. You guys know that I don't love this card, but sometimes you have to play it, and I respect that. So I'm playing 3 copies in this build, but there could be other blockers that we play as well. And obviously, we got to play Hilfrith, right? Like, there's no debate on that one either. But the other things, though, we also have the Rick Diaz here. So activate, choose 1 for active friendly base rested. If you do, choose 1 enemy unit that's level 4 or lower, gets AP -2. So having like this kind of effect, which also has the generic Ayug kind of trait link here, which these are the only 2 that exist in the game right now. So you kind of have to play both of them for it to be able to get your when linked effect more consistent with your Quattro. We are playing 3 copies of Ailstrike because all of our pilots are level 4 or higher, and then we are playing like the Hyaku Shiki. This is just a really good blocker that also, since it's a level 5 with cost of 3, there's a lot of times where you're able to play this out, play your 1 cost base and the pilot all in the same turn. So with the Quattro being able to be a 5/6 blocker with repair 1, ends up being pretty good and sometimes pretty obnoxious for your opponent to deal with. And lastly, Zeta Gundam. This is kind of our boss monster for the deck. During link, activate main. Once per turn, choose 1 active friendly base rested. If you do, set this unit as active, and it cannot choose the enemy player as its attack target during this turn, but you can choose other units that exist on the board. So that is kind of helpful. It is going to be kind of tricky to play this out and get this effect on the same turn, just because if you're at level 6, you have to have a base survive and then have like the pair with it. So it's not going to happen very often, and you do have to have Camille with it since it is a during link, but it is something that can come up and lets you attack and then restand, and then your opponent doesn't really have like a better place to go into sometimes. So I think this is an okay deck. I feel like this card is it's an okay boss monster, but doesn't do that much for it. So that's kind of my issue with this deck, is that sometimes there could be some situations where we could be wanting a little bit more from it as well. So we do have some card cycle. We've got the Turning Point of History, or a new sign. There's a strong chance that Show of Affection is just better, so just use that. Overflowing Affection, sorry, not Show of Resolve, Overflowing Affection. So Overflowing Affection could just be better than this card, likely, but we're playing, all of our pilots are new types, so let's talk, and we're playing green already, so let's show off the green card that could be a little bit better, but maybe it's not that good. So anyways, I think this deck is in an okay spot. I know a lot of people are going to be using it, and I'm curious to see like what's the best way to pair like the color combinations with the base of this deck, right? Because there's such a good concise way to build it, and I think there's a lot of ways to do that. So there it is there. All right, next up we've got our purple deck, right? So this is like the Vulture deck as well, and we also have have the vegans here as well. Also, I think I need to zoom this in a little bit more. That's probably a little bit better. Sorry for the first part of this video. I'm sure you guys are like, why are the cards so tiny? But so this deck's kind of interesting, and also I'm pretty sure you can play this mono purple if you want to. I added white to the deck for pretty much two reasons. One, overflowing affection. This deck's all about putting cards into your trash to get 7 in there, and this lets you put 2 cards into it, 1 card from hand and this card itself, so that's very helpful. And then the other thing is we got the Gundam aerial rebuild. You're going to find out that I think this card is really, really neat, and you're going to find that I'm going to put it in a lot of decks that maybe it doesn't belong into, but I'm putting it in there anyways. The fact that this is like a really high costed card that has high maneuver and also has a during pair to gain blocker is just kind of good, I think, in these situations. So I ended up putting it in the deck because of that, and there are some great ways to use this as well. So, and again, high maneuver can win you so many games because if you have double high maneuver and they're at 1 life, you just kind of, like, if they're at like their shield with blockers, you just kind of win, and that feels really, really good in those situations. So anyways, we kind of have like this weird way this deck works, and what's the best one? We got this base. It says mill 2, so that's great. You want to use that early, right? But then we also have the Jared Ran and Tifa Adil here. So at this card, when paired, you may discard 1. If you do, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Vulture unit card among them, add them to your hand, and replace the rest at the bottom of your deck in random order. It'd be too broken if this card let you put those extra cards into your trash, but being able to like get the search is good. The fact that you have to discard the card first means that this can sometimes go -1, but the cycle is appreciated, and we do get a good amount of links with it as well. So the first one is Gundam X, right? During pair with the Vulture pilot, destroy. Choose 1 Vulture unit card that's level 5 or lower from your trash. You get to add it to your hand. So being able to get a card draw after the fact is kind of good in its own way. We also do have the Gundam X here. So being able to have, this is kind of like our boss monster, right? Suppression. And then also during your turn, when there are 7 or more cards in your trash, all your other Vulture units gets AP +2. I don't really know how relevant this effect's going to be, just because like there's not like a lot of like, if there's a way to like for this deck to have like a bunch of weenies that are Vulture units, it'd be really good, but there's not really that in this deck in general. So instead we kind of have like this other kind of pilot. We've got to sell here. So when linked, you may choose 1 vegan unit that is level 2 or lower from your trash and pay its cost to deploy it. So you get to link this, and then you get to play one of the vegans, which if we're already like getting a lot of mill and like self cycle from your hand, also like you play these cards early and then they get destroyed, you get to play them again, which is really great. But being able to use these, I think, are like the best ways to do it. So I'm playing 4 and 2. You might want to do a 4 and 3. They're essentially the same units. One can attack anything, but it costs 2. The other ones cost 1, but it can only attack into units. So there's that. So then you use the Zados here. During pair attack, you may choose 1 of your other units to destroy it. If you do, choose 1 enemy unit that's level 4 or lower, and you get to deal 2 damage to it. So the idea is that you can link this with the seal. You're able to play out one of these 2 drops, and then you can just KO it immediately and then get 2 damage on something. So the ability is really flexible, though. There's some other things, like sometimes you can like KO your own Gundam X to be able to find the card that you really need. This is also just during pair on attack. So you can, if this survives, you can keep doing it every other turn for other units as well. So there could be some kind of weird turns where you're like, well, I play this for 2 and then I destroy it, and then I get to pop another 2 drop, which is really nice. So other than that, we've got just kind of Gundam Airmaster here, being able to just be like a generic level 3. We also have the Rusei Go here. So being able to use the deploy, choose 1 of your other units to deal 1 damage. If you draw 1 discards, getting another card into your discard can be helpful, and just kind of like this baby 2/2. We're only playing like 3 copies of it, and if you don't like it, you can play less, but I think that's like another way for guys to get cycle. Gujian is just very good. We also do have the Gundam Leopard here. So deploy, if there's 7 more cards in your trash, choose 1 enemy unit that's level 4 or lower, and you get to rest it, and it does link with the Comrades Come First. So this card says, main, if there are 7 or more cards in your trash, choose 1 friendly Vulture unit. During this turn, it may choose an active enemy unit that's level 4 or lower as its attack target, and there it is there. So that's kind of helpful for us. It's also just like another command. So honestly, it's not like too unusual for you to be able to get 4 or more commands into your trash with this deck when we're doing so much self-mill as it is, though we're only playing 7 commands right now, so it could be more of a target for the deck. But I think there could be like some kind of like more expressed like Academy Vulture build as well, which again, we're not talking about in this build for it, but I think that's like another thought in my head. Like if we're looking at 2 decks, one that wants commands in its trash, another one that just wants generic cards in their trash, like there's a lot of synergies with those kind of ideas as well. So other than that, I think this is a really interesting deck. I think that purple purple is going to be, again, one of the stronger decks for the game. And we're going to look at some other builds too, but I want to kind of show off this Gundam X one as well. And also, this card's either like broken or like bad. I don't know what it is yet. But it's really, really tempting to be good, just because there's so many good level 5 or lower cards that you can play, including like the Gundam Zeon and also like the Leopard. Like there's just fantastic cards that you can consider for this deck, and in other decks too, right? It doesn't have to be, it can be any color. So this card can be generically used with a lot of other purple decks, color combinations, and I haven't fully explored that there, but there it is there. All right, next up, we've got Green Red Zeon. Whoa, crazy. We've never seen this deck before. It's got a bit of an update with some of like the new type stuff that we got from this set. We're essentially running a lot of the same things though. And honestly, I'm not going to say that I'm going to have a lot of faith in this build in particular, but I did want to kind of talk about some of the new cards for it. So generally speaking, we just kind of have like this new type build where we have 2 more pilots for Zeon. We've got Lala, which this card's kind of clunky. Not going to lie, choose one of your other Zeon Link units, which having 2 Link units in play at the same time is tough. I guess this one can just be paired or whatever, but being able to, you know, give Breach 1, it's just like a steep cost for something that's not going to pay off too well. And we also have Shalia Bull here, so when you have another unit with high maneuver in play, this unit gets +1 AP, which is nice, having that +1 AP. The issue is that you know, it's going to be tougher to get high maneuver. So the only ways we can do that is either we have Char or we have the Shinanju, which I have at 1 copy right now. I could see this bumping up for a little bit. We're not playing the full frontal here, but I do think that it's a card that is just generically good in these kind of late games. So the biggest thing though with this deck is that all of these cards are new type, which means that we can play Kshatriya, and then all of these cards let us get this when paired effect to be able to get this additional advantage, which is really nice. So the other thing too is that like the Char effect is really important for the high maneuver if it's a Link unit, but also these 2 effects just really don't care where you're putting them. And then also like you can make this a 6/6 with the Shalia Bull, and then if you kind of attack with high maneuver Char, you are able to get that extra 1. So that's really good. And this is like during this turn, right? So it's not only just during the attack. So that means that Shalia will see that the Char, you know, whatever unit Char is linked with still has the high maneuver, which means that you do get that +1, which means that the Kike Roga, which I'm sure I'm close to pronouncing correctly, when another friendly Zeon Link unit is in play, this unit gains Breach 5, which Breach 5's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. It's very, very good. And if you're playing against Desert Base, you can use Lala to bump that up into Breach 6, because it has to use, you know, any of your other Zeon Link units. So it can be Shalia Bull, even though like canonically you're like, it has to be Char. It can be any Zeon Link pilot there. So other than that, we just kind of have the generic stuff for this deck. We have very few consistency cards except for Char Zaku 2 getting the KO, and then also the Elmith here being able to find a green Zeon pilot, which we're running 10. So off top 5, that's not too crazy. You will still miss with this card and feel bad about it, but at least it means you're like 1 close to the Char, I suppose, because again, this deck just really, really wants to find Char a lot of the time. But by and large, I think this deck has like a little bit more potential with it. I kind of want to add 1 more copy of Shinanju, so maybe I'll find room for that as well. But I feel like you have to have like such a low end to the stack, and maybe we take out the Galgoog, but this just being like a way to get like an easy Link and then be able to get like a Lala or a Shalia kind of additional effect from there, I think is okay with it. But I think this deck has like a little bit of legs, and here's the build for that one. Next up, you've got what I'm thinking is going to be like one of my big projects for this one. I'm going to say this, maybe I'm going to test this deck out once and it's going to be really, really bad, but I'm kind of like this is also just, I'm going to be honest, this is a pile of cards. Like this is a real big pile of cards that you guys are going to have to help decipher with me, but there's just so much. This is the one I spent the most time being like, what are the combinations? What are the cards I want to work with? And I'm kind of happy with this, how it's looked like right now, but it can be super bad, and I'm accepting that could be the case as well. So big things to note. This is a red and purple deck that's kind of focusing on ping damage a lot of the time, which you guys know that I'm really a big fan of that. And I think like a lot of the ways that we do this, there's just kind of a lot of unique links and pairs for this deck in the first place. So we do have like our new cards. So we've got the Cubely here, which again, I'm sure I'm pretty close to saying correctly. When linked, this unit gains suppression during this turn, and then also damage to, yeah, we guys know what suppression is, right? But during pair with a Neo Zeon pilot, which we have 7 of, 4 of them are Marita Cruz and 3 of them are Haman Karn, which is also the unit that you link with, the pilot you link with. When attack, you get to choose 1 damaged unit and you get to deal 2 more damage to it, which honestly, it's very easy to get that damaged unit when either Haman or the Merida already does pretty much all of our pilots ping damage something, right? Like it's going to be very difficult for you to not have something to target with this card, which is really great. So that's kind of the idea for like this deck, is we have this big boss monster that has suppression. This went through a lot of iterations for it, and I decided that purple was like one of my favorite ways to build with this deck, just because, like, yes, Mikazuki is not like a Red Zeon card, or it's not a new type or Cyber-Newtype type card, but it doesn't matter. He's just really good. I don't know who needs to know that, but he's a really, really good pilot. So with that, like, sure, like we miss out on like a Kshatriya paired effect with Mikazuki, but everything else is just gas, right? Being able to use this card to like get like the Barbatos, getting that extra draw and like pressure like 5 AP early is really good. Barbatos second form as well, also like this additional advantage. So I felt like just this is like our best way to get like a gun tank into the deck, right? Which is kind of silly to think of it that way, but when you just have to pay 1 to deal 1 damage to something in your opponent's board, this card is really good, especially without being able to have to pilot, pair it with anything else. So we've got this like low end, we've got like this medium end of like the Hakurin and the rest. We've got 4 copies of Kshatriya because it links with anything with the Cyber-Newtype trait, which includes the Herman. So you can get this, like Herman's like really similar to like Merida as well, but they're just slightly different. Merida is a Cyber-Newtype and Haman is a new type, so that does make some differences. Kshatriya doesn't care, so that's really good. But also, both of this says essentially deal 1 extra damage, right? If this unit is red, choose 1, which it has to be a red unit, so you can't put in a purple, but choose 1 enemy unit whose level is equal to or lower than this unit, and you get to deal 1 damage to it. So generically, yeah, all these pilots can equate to 1 extra damage on somewhere, which I think is pivotal in a lot of situations in this game. So we're also playing the Undying Persistence. This also just happens to be a new type card, so being able to put it in Kshatriya, get 2 damage somewhere, very good. This does not get the effect with it. I almost said it did, but I caught myself last moment because it has to be Red Zeon, and this is a clan new type card, so that's completely different. My bad. But again, like some of these cards just really care that you have like a pilot in it. This just saying like either you get a 1/1 boost or you get like a ping damage, that's pretty good. And we also have the Shuji's Hideout, which again I've talked about. If you want to play Relula instead, you can, but just I think having like a 1 cost base is just way better. So this can just obviously be a pile of cards, and again, I'm self-admitting that it really can be, but this deck looks really, really fun, and I think there's a lot of synergies with red and purple, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the best way to build a deck like this one is as well. So there it is there. Next up, we've got green and blue. So, okay, this is probably like the worst deck that we have. I'm going to self-admit this, all right? This is the deck that I'm like, I know that people want Green Earth Federation to work, and I know that people want Gundam Epion to work, and I guess they kind of work together because the green deck kind of ramps, and blue just has a deck that has a card that's really, really expensive for, I guess, a really good reason, but it is really, really expensive, right? So during link once per turn, during your turn, when one of your units destroy an enemy unit with battle damage, doesn't have to be this one, set this unit as active, right? And we have the link with Zex Marquise, which means that we get to turn this into an 8/7, and then also during link, during your turn, when this unit destroys an enemy unit with battle damage, you get to draw 1. You can convert Zex Marquise and Epion into destroy 2 things, draw 2 cards, which is kind of unheard of in this game, right? That's a really good amount of like card advantage pressure, and can be very good. The issue is that it is a level 8 card in a game that routinely ends around level 6 on a lot of times, right? Unless you're playing against Wing, right? So there are just kind of these situations where you're like, man, how do we get to level 8? And my idea was like, what if we ramp to level 8, generically, and see if we can get there. And Earth Federation was the new kid on the block, so I decided to put both of them together. And now we have this monstrosity of a deck that you see in front of you, right? So Green Earth Federation is all about the Gundam. This is kind of like the boss monster in the deck, and by boss monster I mean like the key piece. Gundam Age 1 normal. Deploy, you may discard 1 Green Earth Federation unit card. It has to be all 3 of those things, Green Earth Federation and a unit. If you do, place 1 EX resource, then if you're level 7 or higher, draw 1. So this entire deck is all about being level 7 or higher and having ways to use EX resources to get there to be able to get your extra effects, which honestly I think is a really cool idea for a deck build. And my only issue is that there isn't like a really good way to capitalize once you get up to those higher levels within the archetype itself, right? We have all these kind of good cards. I think like the best card is like this Gundam Age 1 Titus here. Being able to have like a Breach 3 on a unit that's also a 5/5 is fine. The other issue is that like there's only one real pilot for this entire archetype, right? It's the Asuno here. So with the when linked, look at the top 3 cards of your hand, reveal up to 1 Green Earth Federation unit card or 1 Age device and its card name, add to your hand, then return the remaining cards randomly to your bottom of your deck. So draw one is fine, right? Mostly conditional draw one, but should be pretty accurate with the cards that we have in this deck. Age Device is just a way to get like, you know, a ramp one for only 2, so you get to play it's an EX resource, so it does help you get up, you know, into that level. You know, if you need to get to level 7 to be able to get like your extra card draw and stuff, that can be really strong for you there. But generally speaking, like, again, you can see that this deck is like, well, we have all these like weenie cards that we're able to get these additional effects once we are level 7, right? Also, as far as I know, there's no Asunu family trait is only this guy. So there's, which I feel like is a not an oversight, but like it's too bad that there's not like a second pilot for this archetype for, you know, for what it is. But this Ballo here is pretty good when during Link, if you're level 7 or higher, this gets first strike for the rest of the game, I guess, right? So that's really, really good. First strike is, I think, one of the strongest keywords in this game, and can help you go really easily 2 for 1. So being able to have that with Flit is good for it too, and helps you get like that at trade, especially like if you have Epion out, right? You know, if you first strike something, then you can get a restand, or, you know, those are really good abilities for it. The whole thing about this deck is like, if we get to 7 or more, if we are able to get to these spots, and I'm not convinced that if is going to happen all the time. So I don't know how I feel about this deck, right? We've got some additional extra cards. We do kind of have like a second pilot. We've got White Wolf here. During the battle, your shield area can't receive damage from enemies that are level 3 or lower, so that's an action. So that can prevent you from taking damage. It's kind of like a slightly smaller Quattro. We also have it linked with Geonis Custom here. If you're level 7 or higher, choose one H system unit. It gets plus 2 AP during this turn, which can include itself. So then you can attack for 5 if you have the link with it, which 5 is a good number in this game. So that's fine. It's all good and fine. But I feel like like this green, like this whole Earth Federation stuff, I feel like it's missing a proper boss monster, and blue only has a boss monster, right? Like this deck, this whole Zex Marquise thing, it really, that's the whole thing. It's like, this is a cool card. Good luck getting there. So that's why I put these two together. I don't know if it's going to work, but that's my idea. And I want you guys to know I really tried to make both these work separately, and it didn't really work out. So if you guys have better builds, I'd love to see it. I think this is kind of going to be tricky without it. So yeah, here's the build here. All right, next up, we've got, I think after this point, these are more just kind of generic upgrades for some older decks that kind of existed, but using some new cards. And we're going to start off with one of my favorite decks in this game with GD01. It is the red and blue Cyber-Newtype ping here. So we're using some of the new Titan stuff, which is just kind of weirdly also Cyber-Newtype trait. So you're going to see a lot of the same cards. You're going to see that I really like Kshatriya as one of my favorite cards in this game right now, too, and finding ways to take advantage of it. So the new card we've got, though, is the 4 Murasame here. So during Link, once per turn, during your turn, when this unit recovers HP, if you have 4 or less cards in your hand, you get to draw 1. So nice little draw 1 on having a healing effect on this unit that you're linked with, right? So that means that Gun Cannon and Gundam doesn't work because they're not going to link with the 4 I'm going to say it right, Murasame here. But we do have these additional cards here. We've got Psycho Gundam, which links with any Cyber-Newtype trait card. So that means it can link with Marita, which means the Marita also will get her ping 1 during attacking, which is really good, and just generically has repair 2. So that also means that with 4, you're able to just link with it, attack as a 5/5, and if you attack over something, you have 4 or less cards in your hand, then you're able to get like that draw 1, which could be impactful, right? We also do have the Psycho Gundam, so this is kind of like an alternative to Banshee in a lot of ways. So it links with 4 Murasame itself, and then during pair Cyber-Newtype pilot, so this can be with either Murasame, or if you have Marita after playing this the turn previously, when one of your Titans units destroys an enemy shield area card with damage, this unit recovers 2 HP, and it has Breach 3, so that means that you can attack into a unit. You can hit Breach 3 with it. The Breach 3 gets rid of a shield, and then you get to heal 2. It's great. It's a great little combination. And then if you have the 4 here, you're able to get the card draw, and all of it kind of works out pretty well. So it just means like this is like an alternative card to Banshee a lot of the time, which is nice because this card is good, but it's a little situational. And the fact that it only links with Marita is a little bit tougher. This being able to get like at least some additional abilities with the pair effect is really good. And you could, if you wanted to, kind of change this and like, instead of having the deck like this, you can have it more for the Titans build at the top end. But this is just like the next way I want to try out some of this like the red blue Cyber-Newtype with kind of like adding this new kind of Titan support, which could be really good. So here's my kind of try at it, and we'll see if this ends up being relevant at all. Next up, we've got the red and white. So this is kind of like the 3-ship alliance. I'm gonna call this like Justice Gundam, Justice blockers, I think. But we got 1, 2. Is this? No, this is just like really good card. We've got the Buster Gundam, right? So this is a triple ship alliance card. This has coordinator trait, and when this unit has 5 or more AP, it gains blocker. The biggest thing for this card is that it is a card that you can link with Atherin, and that's really all I started. I stopped reading after this. This card is really good, in my opinion. The fact that this can just like let you attack into things. Obviously, Aegis Gundam is the best card to work with it because you are a 4/6 that has breach 3 that can attack over like an Ilfrith and then still breach 3 their EX base, and that feels really, really good, right? So having another card that you can link with it, you turn into a 5/5, which is good stats. If you need to be a blocker, you can be, and I think all of that is really handy dandy. We do also just kind of have like the rest of the pile for us here. So honestly, not that much different from what we've seen previously with this deck, right? We are playing the Kira stuff, we're playing the L Strike, we're playing the Freedom, we're playing the Justice, and then we do have kind of like our low to the ground unit. So I am playing this just because it is a level 3/2 cost. It's a 3/3 blocker. Maybe that's good. Maybe you guys want to play Zwart, but we're just putting 2 of those in. We got the Archangel, which I'm playing for. Maybe that's too many copies, but we have a lot of blockers in it. And if late game we can just keep dropping down these Justice Gundams, it feels really, really good. So I don't have much more to say, but here is the build there. Next up, we've got the this is like the only mono white or mono color deck I'm playing outright, but it can, other decks can too. And I think with more and more cards, mono color decks can be very viable as itself. My only kind of rule of thumb is that don't make a monocolor deck just to make one. There's generally sometimes like worth it to just play a 1 tech card to make it, technically like 46 green cards and 4 white cards. You know what 4 white cards we're probably talking about, but I do think that this is a deck where I'm like, what, mono white probably kind of makes a little bit sense. So we're playing kind of like the Strike Academy package for this one, with the inclusion of, again, the aerial rebuild. I think this card is really cool and worth building around. I think like the other like aerial rebuild is a cool card, but isn't really like a boss monster for the deck. And this card like ends up just having like a lot of like things to do, right? The fact that, again, high maneuver, super good. You can get some situations where your opponent legitimately can't do anything if you have like, get them down to low enough health, and you just have all these high maneuver cards sitting around, right? 4 or more cards in your trash that are commands is really easy for this deck, I feel. So that is really handy there too. And then we do have kind of like the commands. We've got like the strike package with the Kira, and all of this is just, I think, works kind of well together as well. I don't have a lot to say about this. You guys have probably seen this before, but the aerial rebuild kind of puts it together. So I end up just making a deck that's mostly just 48 cards that are GD01. But hey, we add the rebuild, and maybe that card's good enough to change how this deck works. So there it is. All right, next up we've got kind of a green and white Zeon. This is like the Char deck, and the reason that this deck is I'm going to say like viable and or meme worthy is that Char is the only pilot in the game that you can run 8 copies of right now, right? We have the Char from Star Deck 3, and then we also have the Quattro, which has this card's name is treated as Char. So being able to use this effect to be able to get that is good. That means that you have a lot of things. The when linked effect doesn't really matter for this deck either, but there are some situations, it matters less, right? It has to be an AU kind of unit, which we are playing a couple. We're playing Rick Diaz here. Being able to get like the AP minus if you need to is nice. And then also the Hyaku Shiki as well. If you also want to play the Gundam Mark II instead, you can as well, right? It just depends on what you want to do. Do you want to make a where's the deck? There's the deck. If you do want to make this like a 5/5, or if you want to make it a 4/6, right? We are playing the white bases too. You can play also like the fall mod if you want to, but I felt like having some situations where this card being relevant is kind of good. The Haku Shiki as well, just being like a blocker in the deck, might be good enough as it is, because sometimes you do need to kind of have like a blocker out. And we are playing the Elmeth just because it does help you find a little bit, even though we only have 6 pilots in the deck with it. But all of our pilots are new type, which means that Turning Point of History can be good, or you can just play Show Resolve if you want to. I think that's fine too. We are playing the new sign also, just like as a deeper way to dig into our deck. And then also, since we are playing the AU bases in our deck, the burst sometimes can pop up, but I'd say that's very, very rare as well. So other than that, it's just like a green aggro deck with white. I think like a lot of people already kind of theorycraft green white aggro originally in GD01. It just didn't kind of work out. So having, again, 8 Chars in a deck is enough for you to kind of get some headway with it. So if you don't like the law stuff, you can definitely take it out. You can maybe do a little bit more of like the AUG stuff, but I think this has some potential. So here's the deck there. Next up, we've got green and white wing as well. I think our last deck's all green white. Yeah, they are. So honestly, these last 2 decks are kind of like Operation Meteor type decks, mostly with the Gundam Heavy Arms just being a card that is all I wanted for Operation Meteor. Just having a unit that lets you link with any of your Operation Meteor trait pilots is really good. The deploy effect is okay. The fact that it helps you like dig one deeper into your deck if you need to is good enough. And the fact that it has 4 HP and doesn't get KO'd by your own 0 is also really, really good. So the fact that, you know, there's two kind of builds. Again, we're playing kind of like this more Academy build with this one with Wing 0 in particular. I do think like having access to Gundam Aerial Rebuild and Wing 0, two really high stat cards that have high maneuver, is really, really good in those situations. Also having the 4 or more commands in your trash shouldn't be too difficult in this deck since we're playing Overflowing, Unforeseen, Peaceful Timber, as well as the Striker pack. So all of that, or sorry, Peaceful Timber, as well as the Striker pack. All of those are very good. We do also have like the Hero Yuri. We're not playing the Death Scythe package. You can if you want to. We're also not playing the Kira package, but every pilot in this deck can have a pair with Ailstrike, especially since the Quatre is also a level 4, so that's good enough in my book. They rebuild also being able to get some additional card cycle is good too, and it's a deck, right? I don't know if this is going to be good enough to keep it in its own way, but I think Rebuild is, again, a really, really potentially good boss monster, and kind of a set where we didn't drop, I think, that many boss monsters generically. So there's the build, and then we also have kind of like this more Breach kind of aggressive build. Again, I'm playing Rebuild. Maybe I shouldn't, but you got to put it in the deck, baby. It has so much potential, but especially since we are playing, you know, again, a lot of commands in this deck. We are playing the Simultaneous Fire for this one instead with the Troa, since we are focusing a little bit more on the Breach damage. So that is a little important. Being able to just give main Breach 3 to something can be helpful for getting that extra damage if we need to, especially since like we can use it with like the Wu Fei to, you know, weirdly get like protection if we really need to, since we can give something Breach, and that also means the Heavy Arms, which we can have this card additionally, you know, get Breach and have, you know, the fact that this also links with Wu Fei is also okay in its own way. So there's just like a lot of like cute little combos you get to do now that we have like this really good like generic link unit for the deck in general. So we're playing Rick Dom. If you also want to play the other Heavy Arms, you can as well, but I think the ratios kind of make sense for what it is. And again, Wu Fei in the Gundam Wing Gundam, you become a 6/6 that ends up just being able to be like good enough that, you know, you don't take damage from little things too. So that's pretty good, and I think its own way. And then Rebuild is fine. And there are some times where you're like, well, I can make this a blocker if I really need to, because we will have enough commands, and sometimes that's enough to help you like not lose a game. So that's pretty much it. These are all the decks. I've talked for too long per usual, but I have a lot of things. a lot of decks I want to try out for this format. I think there's a lot of cool different synergies, and in general, like I think this is a good kind of like deck where so far in this set, I don't think there's anything that screams to me that this is going to be like a broken deck that's just going to be best deck, you know, inherently in my mind, but I can be proven wrong inherently. And there's just all these different like kind of combinations we can do, and I feel like I've barely scratched the surface as well. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Let me know what deck you guys are looking forward to, which decks I've missed out, and everything else from there. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you all next time.